In medieval times, this wasn't a Halloween costume. This was a court-ordered punishment, and you're about to find out what crime they committed. We think of justice today as courts, lawyers, and jail time. But in the Middle Ages? Justice was a whole lot weirder, and way more brutal. Today, we're exploring 3 of the most bizarre punishments ever invented, for crimes you wouldn't believe were even on the books. Let's start with a crime that was taken very seriously: gossiping. In medieval Europe, a woman considered to be a scold, someone who gossiped, nagged, or just talked too much, could be sentenced to wear this, the Scold's Bridle. This was a heavy iron helmet, sometimes called a gossip's bridle, that was locked onto a person's head. It featured a small metal plate, often covered in spikes, that was pressed down on the tongue, making it impossible to speak. The wearer would then be paraded through the center of town to be publicly shamed and humiliated. It was a brutal way to enforce silence. Next up, what if you couldn't prove if someone was innocent or guilty? You just let God decide. This was a very real judicial practice. If a court couldn't reach a verdict, they would subject the accused to a dangerous test, believing a divine being would intervene to protect the innocent. One common method was trial by hot iron. The accused had to carry a piece of red-hot iron for a set distance. Their hand was then bandaged and inspected 3 days later. If the wound was healing cleanly, they were declared innocent. If it was infected and festering, they were obviously guilty. Another one? Trial by water. The accused was tied up and thrown into a river. If they sank, they were innocent. If they floated, they were guilty, as the pure water was said to be rejecting them. And finally, let's go back to our ghost. What crime did they commit? If you committed an act that the church found generally offensive, anything from blasphemy to disrupting a service, you might be sentenced to perform a ghostly penance. The offender would have to dress in a simple white sheet, sometimes with eye holes cut out, and stand outside the church doors or in the town square. They were required to loudly and publicly beg for forgiveness for their sins, appearing like a tormented spirit seeking redemption. It was a form of psychological punishment, forcing a person to act out their own spiritual shame in front of their entire community.